Oh, hey, sorry guys, I didn't see you there. I was looking at the trees. You know, SBRs are fun, and they're getting a lot more popular. Now, me and Micah here on the channel, we don't like the term SBR, now do we?
No, it's just a rifle.
Yeah, exactly. So, in America, SBR refers to a rifle that is shorter than 16 inches in overall length. Now, for the purpose of this video, we're going to be primarily looking at barrel lengths on different calibers that have been used heavily within the military. So when we talk the SBRs are going to be tested today, we're going to be looking at what is the most effective SBR caliber. We're going to be doing a ton of fun stuff. We're going to be doing drills to test recoil. We're going to be doing accuracy testing. We're going to be doing long-range testing, ballistic testing, testing through barricades, and of course,
Mike, we're doing a lot of testing. We get it.
Yeah, I know, but I'm very excited. So stay tuned on Grand Thumb. Now, before we get started, we of course have to thank the biggest sponsor of the channel, who is the Sonoran Desert Institute, or is it the Sonoran Desert Institute? We don't know.
I had a typo, okay? We don't need to keep...
We're going to keep bringing it up because Micah made a mistake, so we're going to harass him out. The point is, the Sonoran Desert Institute is for gunsmithing. If you're looking to get your start in there, it is an awesome place to go. We love them. They've supported the channel for a long time, despite how insane we've been, so we love them. Go check them out. And of course, who can we not forget? Micah!
Primary Arms. They're pretty fed up with us. I was going to name another month, but...
Yeah, they actually specifically requested that I fire you.
Really?
Primary Arms has awesome optics at a great price. We love them. We love their 1:8. That's compact. It is one of our favorite optics, and their compact red dots are actually pretty awesome. We use them on a bunch of different firearms. And of course, if you do any amount of dry fire, me and Micah sure do, you're going to love Mantis. Awesome dry fire technology that has a little laser beam, shoot you exactly where you're shooting. It's going to turn your weapon, depending on which kit you get, into just a dry fire machine. Makes your training that much better. We 100% swear by it. We love them. Go check them out. And unlike the camera we're filming this on, or the TV you're watching this on, AAC ammunition is made in the US of A. Go and check them out. We love them. We're using a bunch of their ammo today. And with all that said, Micah, let's get into it. So we have a lot of different calibers here. Now, it should be noted they are all different barrel lengths, and I understand that might be upsetting to a lot of my autistic people out there. But understand it's for a purpose. And the reason we did that is we're picking the barrel lengths that are most commonly used widely within the military. The Mark 18 with a 10.3-inch barrel is extremely common within many militaries throughout the world. There are shorter barrels, but it's not nearly as common as a Mark 18, which is why we chose that barrel length. It's most commonly used. But it comes to 5.45. The typical short barrel length, unfortunately, is much shorter at about 8.1 inches. I think this will ultimately play against the 5.45. Doesn't mean it's a bad round. It just means perhaps that's a little short overall. Next up, we have the Sig Rattler. When it comes to 300 black, there are a lot of different barrel lengths used. The 5.5 is the shortest and one of the most prolifically used, which is why we have the 5.5-inch Rattler in 300 black. Same thing when it comes to the 7.62. Not as common to see a lot of 7.62 SBRs out in the world, but they do exist, and in this case, we have the 8.3-inch. And then, of course, when it comes to the FAL, because of South America, we have the OSW. It is actually one of my favorite rifles. Why is it my favorite rifle, Micah?
I'm autistic as shit.
An 11-inch barrel with 308 is extremely, it's a waste. Is that a good word for it?
No, as long as you're having fun, it's not a waste.
It's a lot of unburnt powder. And the first test that we're going to be doing with all these SBRs is what, Micah?
The bill drill.
That's right. How come?
Why is it called the bill drill?
No.
Because bill has 6 letters in it.
We're testing recoil control.
Yeah.
We're testing recoil control. How quickly can these weapons be fired and be kept on target? The first up is going to be the Mark 18. It does have a grenade launcher because it's cool. Okay, so we're going to go ahead. We're going to start with the bill drill with the Mark 18. What's your favorite one? Like, which one do you think is going to do the best?
Quick hatch.
Okay, you can do the drill with quick hatch then, if you love this so much.
Yeah, I do. You ready?
Yep.
See you, bye. Up.
1, 2, 3, 4, 6.
This is a manual focus lens. We'll see if Michael's capable of getting this in focus. Up.
Oh, you beat me. Oh, no, you
No, I got a Charlie. One Charlie. If you get a Charlie, you lose by default. Am I? Up.
Whew. Clean. Not bad. Main character. All right, next up we have Sig Rattler, 300 blackout. On the 300 blackout, it's going to be using 220 grain Sear Match Kings. It's just nicer ammo. That's the nature of subsonics. So.
Up.
Okay, next up, we're gonna have the 7.62. This gun has given us nothing but problems, but it's here. Next up, we have the Arsenal. It's given us its best effort, which I think should be rewarded.
Up.
Next up, we have the FAL 308 OSW, and it has a little dead air that is really trying hard.
Up! Oh my lord.
This OSW, it should be noted, is very well gassed. Do not shoot this at night, you will die. We shot this all, Micah shot these all as well. They're all very controllable guns, I should say. I would say the best is gonna always kind of be the 5.56. The 5.56 is just a very well gassed gun, and they just, especially the Mark 18, is perfectly balanced as all things should be. Micah, what was your favorite? What felt the best to you?
I am very comfortable with AK ALG triggers.
Yeah.
So for me, the quick hatch, but it's probably tied with the Mark 18.
They both felt really good, and it should be noted that's pretty awesome considering that the quick hatch does have an 8.1 inch barrel that is directly analogous to the Krink. They are very similar. So having a shorter barrel and it still being that well gassed is pretty awesome. So it should be noted how cool that is. Next up, we'll be testing long range. Obviously, well, longer range for an SBR. Now, we're gonna be shooting about 300 here. Obviously, SBRs are typically made for shorter distance urban. That being said, SBRs can do those longer distance shots. Micah, you shoot your RGI up to 600 all the time.
All the time.
There are certain products that are gonna help you, like TACOM, right? But we're gonna show you that it's definitely doable with each of the rifles. We're gonna be shooting at 300. We're gonna see which one kind of is easiest depending on the round and barrel length, and we'll go from there. First up, we have the Mark 18, 10.3, 5.56. Not much of a problem with the Mark 18. It is about 2,500 feet per second. You can hear even the shot to delay, even at 300. It's pretty wild because you don't get that with the longer barrels like 14.5, 16, especially 20, which if you're Giga Chad, that's what you're carrying. But Mark 18's out, so let's go ahead and change over to 5.45. A little bit slower as far as the shot to impact, but very controllable, very easy with the quick hatch. Next up, we have 300 Black from the Sig Rattler. These 220 grain pills are going subsonic. That means they have more time for the wind to affect them, and they have a lot more drop. It is much more of a bitch to fire long range with this guy right here. That is so hard with that dude. Even when the wind picked up, my round started drifting off like a solid 10 inches when it picked up right there at the very beginning. That's a rough round to shoot long range. So for whatever reason, we've been having really significant issues of accuracy with this particular guy. We'll see. You see the impact?
I don't even see where it's hitting at all. Oh, way high.
Really?
Do it again. To the right, low.
Impact, see it?
No. Super high. Low right. Just low. Dude, something's wrong with that.
We'll call it an ammo problem. This is a shitty example, but 760 by 39 can usually do it. I would say whoever was loading this ammo in Russia was drunk when they did it, or just not drunk enough. I don't know. Functional alcoholics or something. It's not a joke, by the way. If you're alcoholic, you should get help. Brandon Herrera, done it. Operator. Next up, if you're fighting a favela, you want the
308.
308 OSW, because
South America.
South America. That's right. Okay. Cool. That was relatively easy. Zerate's got a good BC. BC being the kind of tendency of a projectile to fly well through the air. Between the 308 OSW and all the guns here, what would you say was the easiest to shoot, Micah?
308.
308 by far. That was super simple. The high BC helped with the wind. Just a really heavy round. It is going quite slow out of an 11-inch barrel, but you know what? 308 is 308. So I'm going to get the winner of this one, the Favela Killer. So we're going to be testing the ballistic performance of each weapon here. Obviously, this is going to be more ammunition specific. We could get ammo that is made to perform with each of these rounds, but I know you poor fuckers are mostly probably firing the cheap ammo. So we're going to be using the cheap stuff. We have 55 grain and the 5.56 right here. We'll be starting with this out of a 10.3. Probably a little bit anemic. That being said, I still wouldn't want to get shot by it. Isn't that right, Micah?
Yes, I wouldn't want to get shot by anything, even an airsoft gun.
Well, it's different with Spiritus systems because they just don't call their hits.
It's true. Yep.
All right, here we go. 5.56. Funny enough, really, really good performance out of the 55 grain. If you want to come up right here, Micah, and take a look. Overall, that's a pretty violent wound channel. You can see a lot of the residue as the wound came in and self-ignited the oxygen. That's violent. You can see it then fragmented out. Pretty freaking good, actually. Great performance from 5.56. Not what I expected. We've seen a lot worse from 5.56. So kind of surprising overall, wouldn't you say, Micah?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I didn't see you there. I was thinking about Rome. So about a week ago, we did a video on the Bulletproof Everyone hoodie, and it stopped absolutely everything. So then the owner hit us up, and he's like, hey, can we do an ad? And I'm like, I think you guys kind of earned it because you did so freaking good on it. So in any case, this video is sponsored by Bulletproof Everyone. Now, if you order using the discount code GRANDTHUMB, you're gonna get a free level 3A backpack. It's awesome. So like we noted in the video, their armor is extremely lightweight. It's as thin as an iPhone, and it is very compliant. I mean, it is made right here in the US of A. Now, there's 2 levels that are available. You have 2 and 3A. We tested the 3A. It's gonna cover everything up to 44 Magnum. Now, it is tested by the Oregon Ballistic Laboratory to NIJ standards. Each batch is tested. Now, there is free tailoring with every order so that you don't look all bulky and weird and you actually look kind of really cool. Unlike how Micah looked in the photo, but that's not his fault. It wasn't tailored to him. So make sure you take advantage of that. Finally, the armor systems are interchangeable. That means you can change them from the undershirt to the hoodie. So in any case, guys, go check them out. Discount code GRANDTHUMB. Love you guys. And back to thinking about Rome.
All right, 5.45, crank. All right, 5.45, excellent performance. Overall, smaller fragmentation per wound cavity, but you can see the 5.45 is a really interesting kind of habit of as it travels, it tends to tumble, even the cheaper rounds. So we can see we have very good performance. It tumbled, stabilized, tumbled again, and then looks like it exited, might have fragmented a little bit towards the edge right there. Yeah, it did have multiple exits. So excellent performance from 5.45, especially considering it's out of a 8.1 inch barrel. That's very commendable. 5.45 is a great round. 3 into black. Didn't look like much. It certainly didn't. Those heavy rounds have so much carry through. You could see the little wound track there. So I thought that these 220 grain CR match chains would do so much better, but really you do need velocity to kind of do the damage. The wound channel is good, but about similar to the 5.45. 300 black is a very quiet round, but certainly there is a trade-off in lethality. I wouldn't want to get shot by it, but at the same time, if we're talking, straight comparison, your faster round is going to be more deadly. You ready, Micah?
On you.
I'm aiming so hard right now. It's kind of oblong, so we'll take a look. But you can see it's very similar to 5.45, which is interesting. Being a bigger round, I thought it would perform a lot better, but not necessarily. We have the initial expansion after it entered. It then flattened out. And then you can see we had that second very violent tumble. It's kind of hard to see that guy. Pretty good performance overall. I would say about on par, if slightly not worse than the 5.45. Again, that speed is awesome. It doesn't always do the job, but in the case of this right here, it's certainly bussin'. I put all my hopes and dreams into this doing the best. All right. You ready, Micah?
Send.
All right. You can see as it begins to open up, that's where we start to see that explosive compression right there. And then it continues turning sideways. I would imagine with a little bit more gel, we're going to see a lot more damage. That's kind of what I expected out of 308, which is it just needs a little bit more body. You're probably going to want to shoot very skinny people with this, but there's certainly going to be applications that OSW. You can see here it just has a lot of raw power behind it, certainly to get through anything that it needs to get through. So imagine hitting cover first, then hitting you. That's probably what it's going to be really good for. Right here, we're going to be testing which caliber has the best chance of busting through cover with the least amount of rounds. I'm going to be trying to put the rounds right here in the cement. Micah, what's going to have the best chance of getting through the cement?
I think 308 will really punch through the cement.
Say that one more time.
308 will punch through the cement.
What are you doing? What is that? How many rounds do you think it will take to get through?
Like 1 or 2.
I say like 4. All right, here we go. First shot. No way that got all the way through. Okay, it partially punched. It punched through the first part, but not through the second. Not 1 round. Probably will be like 2, like you said. We'll see.
No?
No, not through it yet. Okay, about 3 rounds to get through that. Not too bad. Let's see how the 545 does. 545. I punched a clean hole. It needs a little bit more love. 2 rounds so far. A little bit of luck, but guess what? Real life is luck.
Okay.
Hey, my name's Mike, and I can't count. That was 4 rounds to get through it. 300 black's kind of a mystery. It's a heavy round, so it should punch through, but it's slow. I don't know. What do you think?
I don't even know what to think, to be honest. Heavy, slow rounds surprise me sometimes.
Let's do it.
See, that's
2 rounds. I didn't expect that.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, heavy round as well. Well, not as heavy as a 300, but it's 122 grains.
I think it's gonna be insane.
I think so as well. 2 rounds. Not bad. I don't want a lot in life, but I want the 308 to punch through in 1 round. You ready?
On you?
Fuck your cover in South America. So we've done a lot of testing at this point, and obviously the 308 pushed through that barricade like it was absolutely nothing. But let's take a look at a couple different issues and kind of sum up this video in a more scientific way without all the joking, right? No more joking from this point on, Micah.
Dead ass.
Dead ass. So next thing we're going to talk about is going to be combat loadouts. Now this is very important because unless you're doing home defense, when we're talking about the actual reason that we have the Second Amendment, which is defending our country against tyranny, you're going to need to have a combat loadout on you. Now, in the military, this is typically 7 rounds, and that's about 210 rounds for your typical 30 rounders. It's going to be a little bit less depending on the type of magazines that you're using. So when we have our combat loadout with our M4 right here, that's going to be 7.63 pounds with all 7 mags. Now, it doesn't sound like much, but that type of weight definitely adds up, especially being that it's pushing out from your plate carrier. It's going to be weighing you down over time. So the lighter your ammunition, the more you can carry, the better it is. Very famously with weapons like the LAMG from Knight's Armament is a very lightweight machine gun, and because it shed a couple pounds over the saw, they were able to carry instead of 800 rounds of 5.56, over 1,000 rounds. So the lighter you can get your weapon, the lighter you can get your ammunition, the better your life's going to be. And that also comes to the Mark 18 itself, which is about a 6-pound rifle, which is quite lightweight. So that's what the Mark 18 has going for it. Obviously now with all the stuff we have on there, including the grenade launcher, but your combat loadout is again 7.63 pounds. Next up, we have the 545, the crank, quick hatch in this case right here. So with 545, your combat loadout of 7 rounds is going to be 7.91 pounds. So just a little bit more than 5.56, not really by too much. And that, of course, will depend somewhat on grainage of the rounds used as well. But that's what you have for the combat loadout of the 545. Very comparable. I really have no issue with the combat loadout of both of these weapons together. It should be noted also that the quick hatch or the crank is a very lightweight rifle, often coming in below 6 pounds. So that is certainly something that it has going for it. Next up, we have 300 blackout. So with your combat loadout of 7 mags, that's going to be 10.29 pounds. Quite a increase over 5.56, and the question is, can it be felt? And the answer to that is absolutely. So understand that there's a little bit of capability loss, especially with these subsonic rounds, but there of course is a gain in terms of it being a very quiet, very low flash weapon. So there's certainly a place for it, but understand those trade-offs that you're going to have. Next up, we have 7.62 by 39, your typical AK round. With a combat loadout of AK mags, which would be 7 rounds, you have 12.66 pounds. The question is, can you feel 12.66 pounds from 7 rounds, 7 mags of 7.62 by 39? The answer is absolutely yes. You certainly do feel that it is a very capable round. Maybe we didn't do the best job of showcasing that in today's video just because of some of the issues we had with the rifle today, but it is a very capable round, it's a very devastating round, and it's a very well-performing round. So despite that weight, there are certainly a lot of benefits to carrying the 7.62 by 39. Next up, we have the 308. Now, it should be noted that we, of course, weighed this with FAL mags. It's going to depend on the type of weapon that you have. But the combat loadout for a 308 weapon is going to be significantly less than a more intermediate caliber weapon. The reason for that is your 308 magazines typically carry 20 rounds. And the reason for that is even a 25 rounder is pretty huge and a 30 rounder is ginormously huge. So when we talk a combat loadout on a 308, we have 140 rounds, and the weight of that is about 11.06 pounds. So that's a very heavy loadout, and you do not carry a whole lot of ammo. And if there's one thing that militaries have learned time and time again, maybe not the U.S. military, it's that typically the army that wins has the most ammunition on them, because if you run out of ammunition, you're not able to suppress the enemy. So the question is, what is the best caliber? I'm going to put it down to 2 calibers. So if you're looking for something that's going to be all around, I would say there's no argument that both 5.56 and 5.45 are both superior calibers. They're lightweight, they perform extremely well, they have good ballistics, they can be shot far, they are a do everything. Wouldn't you tend to agree, Micah?
Yeah.
They are lightweight. I really have nothing bad to say about those 2 rounds. Now, there is a use case scenario for other weapons. We'll talk about those. 300 Black is a very quiet, extremely low flash weapon. So for any type of fighting at night, those subsonics are going to do extremely well. Now you have to understand a lot of the trade-offs that come with subsonic rounds, such as inability to shoot nearly as far, and you got to switch to supers, and then your zeros change. So it's always a bit of an ass pain with 300 Blackout, but certainly it does have its application. With 7.62 by 39, I would argue the primary application would not be in the United States. It would probably primarily be outside of the United States. If you're in a country where this is a very plentiful round, this is a great weapon to have. It's getting a little bit more expensive here in the U.S., so it's not specifically something that I'm going to recommend right off the bat. I would definitely put a 5.45 or especially a 5.56 over this, but it's a very capable weapon. And finally, 308. Obviously, if you're in South America, you got to pick the OSW. But this thing produces an enormous fireball. The recoil is very manageable. However, you certainly lose a lot of ammunition in a gunfight. So I don't know if I would recommend it as a primary weapon. Certainly it kills. Certainly it blows through cover like nothing else. But something that we have to talk about is this is a giant weapon. Even the most compact FAL with an 11-inch barrel is significantly longer than a Mark 18. Of course, we do have a suppressor on here, but your length of pull is pretty messed up. It is just an overall larger weapon, and especially a heavier weapon, topping out at typically 10 to 11 pounds, especially when you added the magazine to it. So understand there's going to be a trade-off to everything. In today's video, we're certainly going to suggest 5.56 or 5.45, with 5.56 being the obvious choice in the US of A. But make your choice. Hopefully you guys learned something from today's video. We certainly had fun. Isn't that right, Micah?
A blast.
We had a blast. So guys, go and get training. I don't care which of these you choose. What I do care is that you're trained in it. That's going to be the most dangerous guy. A guy who's extremely proficient in the FAL, absolutely terrifying, would not want to go up against that. So get out there, get training, train with the homies, have a good time. And as always, make sure you check out Onward Research, because we have the coolest gear. Isn't that right, Micah?
Yes.
And much more cool gear coming out.
Patreon.
So yeah, Patreon, of course. Don't forget that. We put out wacky stuff all the time. It's probably not good for my career, but it's out there. So here we are. Guys, thank you so much for watching. We've got nothing else for you. Final thing for you guys is going to be dad advice. And the dad advice for today is to multiply and replenish the earth.